Hello, my beautiful friends. So, we're going to talk about rituals. What are they? Are they scary? If you belong to any kind of religious practice, you already do rituals. There's a difference between rituals and spells and all the different things, right? But rituals are intentional things that you do, things that you say, different practices that you have that bring light and meaning to you. So it's funny because I was reading about it earlier tonight, and then I had this great conversation with my friend who does rituals, and their their intentionalities. Ritual is probably not maybe the right word. I'm not sure. I never kind of know what to call things that aren't spells. So I don't know any spells because I'm not a witch. I know one because I watched a video about one, so I know one, but I've never done it. I don't do spell work because I'm not a witch, and I don't practice witchcraft, and I'm not a Wiccan, so I don't practice Wiccan practices either. So the things that I do are rituals that bring meaning to me. And when I was reading about it earlier in this Celtic book that I'm reading right now about thin places, it was talking about how, the person writing the book is very religious and has a bunch of degrees in theology and all sorts of stuff, and was talking about her experience, growing up in different churches and different experiences that she had, and how each denomination does things differently. And I have found that to be true as well in the Christian faith. Every church you go into has a different thing. Even in the Anglican church, there's a whole bunch of different prayer books that you can use. Our wedding was based off the 1553 Book of Common Prayer. My church used the 1923 Book of Common Prayer. It's since modernized in the Episcopal Church, but the conservative Anglicans still use that older text. And the rituals are slightly different. I mean, they're mostly the same, but things like in the church, whether you face the altar like with your back to the congregation, or if you're facing front and facing the congregation, like there's those little nuances, right? So in our personal practice, when I left the church proper, I had to think about the things that would bring meaning to me, and I've tried all different things. And one of my favorite fun stories is that I learned how to dress a candle, because I never even heard of that, and I learned it from some of my friends here on YouTube. And I put oil on the candle, and I damn near burned my house down because I put way too much oil on it. And but I didn't know, right? So some of it's trial and error and things that resonate. I do go through my house with sage, and bless the house and ask the evil energy to leave and the good energy to stay. I bless people, I bless myself and my children and my pets, and my front door and my back door, and I have a Bridget's cross and near each doorway. And so we all do things. We all have these little things that we do. And in the Carmina Gadelica, which I'm reading at the moment, if you're new to the channel, it's quite a shocker. The people in ancient Scotland had their rituals and things that they did for protection, or for a harvest, or for the blessing of the birth of a child, or saying goodbye to somebody who's crossed over to the other side. There are these things that we do. There's ways that we prepare our food. One of my blessings of my career is that I worked in New Jersey, and the school I worked at, and the community I lived in was very Jewish. I lived right by the synagogue. And the traditions around food and the preparation of food. And I think one of the most beautiful things I've ever experienced in a faith other than my own is sitting Shiva when somebody passes. I just thought that was as an outsider looking at that practice, it's such a beautiful tradition, and it's such a beautiful experience. And really, like, I was so touched by it. And I thought, wow, if only we all did something like that when somebody passed. It really gives you time to grieve as a family, and it allows other people to help you in tangible ways. Everybody always says, like when my mom and my dad died, like, what can I do to help? Well, there really isn't anything you can do. Like, are you a wizard? Can you bring them back? Like, if you can't do that, then, but sitting Shiva, people bring food and they come and visit you, and you're sitting in these low chairs and they come around, and all your job is to sit there and mourn and receive people and mourn, and that's your job. And I thought it was such a beautiful practice. And so I'm always interested in learning different rituals and different ways that people honor the passing of different milestones in life, birth and accepting a faith practice like, confirmation or something like that, or first communion, or bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, and then weddings, all of it. I love learning about all of it. So I would be really interested in learning a tradition that you have that you think is unique to your family, your culture, your religion, your faith, or your spiritual practice. If you're not spiritual and you're agnostic or atheist, and you have a ritual that you do that brings meaning to you, I think they're all worthwhile. So long as they don't harm other people or harm animals, obviously. But if a faith practice, I learned at the Celtic retreat I was just at, the leader, she uses every part of a deer when she goes hunting, and she uses the bones to make rattles for shaman practice. And I thought that was very touching too, because while I wouldn't make something like that, or maybe I wouldn't use something like that, I just thought it was very touching that she used all of the animal, and so that animal, she didn't waste any part of it. And so maybe not my tradition, but it still is so interesting to learn about. So I'd be really interested in learning what you do. So if you have a ritual or an intentional practice that you do, or if you're learning some, I'm learning what's meaningful to me, post it below. I'd love to learn about it. I am wishing you all the very best in light and love. Be well. Take care. Bye-bye.